Happy New Year! And if your resolution is to eat healthy this year, then you've come to the right show because I'm going to be making healthy pancakes today. Now, if you've been watching our videos for the last few months, you'll know that every now and then I like to use some cheat ingredients. And today my cheat ingredient is, drum roll please, ta-da-da, a banana. So I'm just going to peel the banana just to get it ready for mashing it together. Just a rough chop, you don't really need a knife for this. Just get that in there. I'm just going to mash this banana just with the back of a fork. So when you're mashing, a little bit of it will stay a little bit chunky, and that's fine. So I'd say that's pretty well mashed together, almost like baby food. Now I'm going to add some flavorings. I'm keeping it very simple, but just something to enhance the flavor that we've got. Just about 1/8 of a teaspoon of cinnamon and half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now I've made these pancakes completely flourless, and there's nothing wrong with making them flourless that way. It's just that they turn out very delicate in texture. So I like adding just about roughly 2 tablespoons of regular all-purpose flour. Just going to give it just a very delicate stir, not too much. And 1 whisked egg. And now just like we do when we're baking, this is 1 large egg because I've used 2 bananas, so they need 1 large egg. Mix all of this together. Okay. Not too much mixing here, don't overmix most batters that you're working on, and definitely not a pancake batter which is as delicate as this one. So I'm just going to put this aside and heat up my pan. So like always, I'm using a non-stick pan, so it doesn't need too much oil. I always use this 1/4 cup measure to measure out the batter for pancakes, and it works really well for me. So the pan's nice and warm, and I'm just going to add this batter slowly to the center of the pan. See, that 1/4 cup measure is just the right size for 1 pancake, and you want to cook this on about medium-high heat. Okay, so this is a little bit more of a delicate pancake, and when you see it kind of firming up from the sides and you see these bubbles forming, you just know that it's time to flip it over. It's going to be a nice golden brownish color at the bottom. Get your spatula to help you and flip it. Just that tiny little amount of flour is what makes all the difference in this pancake. I've made these without the flour as well, and honestly for me it's a little too eggy, but I like it with the flour. Just that tiny amount of flour. Just let it cook on this side now. It's cooked on this side too. I'm just going to flip it over into the plate. Just as soon as you see the sides firming up of the pancake, you know it's time to flip it. Okay, that's the last pancake that's done. I'm going to top it up here. So I've not stirred in any toppings into the pancake, so I'm just going to add some fresh strawberries. We've been a little healthy with the pancake, so I just feel like indulging a bit with the chocolate. So just top up these pancakes, some strawberries. And now some chocolate chips. And now I'm going to add the honey. I just like to pour it all over these pancakes and the strawberries. You can always use maple syrup. So guys, you just have to look at this plate. It's so colorful and beautiful. You'll never be able to tell that these are healthy pancakes. So from everyone here at Get Curried, I'm going to wish all of you a very happy new year, and stay tuned to our channel for loads more recipes coming up right through the year. Happy New Year! Wouldn't it be great if you just woke up in the morning and your breakfast was waiting for you? I know it sounds like magic, but I'm going to show you how to make chilled overnight oats, which you can just top up with some fresh fruits in the morning. I usually make this ahead of time when I know that I'm going to have a rushed morning with little or no time for breakfast. I've just got equal amounts of oats and milk that I'm going to put together. These are instant oats, but you can use rolled oats as well. They work really well too. It's about 2/3 cup. These sit really comfortably in the refrigerator overnight and are just ready for you to eat in the morning. Sometimes I just rush out with the jar itself. Just about half a tablespoon of basil seeds or chia seeds. Okay, and a dash of cinnamon while it started raining outside. And now for my favorite part, honey. I'm adding just a tablespoon right now. And honey is what I'm using right now, but you can use agave nectar, maple syrup, or even brown sugar. An equal amount of milk. Just stir it together really well. Just seal it really tightly before you leave it in the refrigerator overnight. Right, so the oats have been in the refrigerator overnight. I'm just going to taste it to see if I want to adjust any flavors. It's soaked up a lot of the milk, and I want a slightly runnier oatmeal, so I'm just going to add a little bit more milk, not too much. You can leave it as is if you like your oatmeal thicker. Now I'm going to start layering it with the fruits. Nothing like bananas, you get them all year round, and they're just so healthy. Okay, I reckon that's enough of the bananas. And now for my favorite, fresh apricots. Just to give that little pop of color. I bet you're never going to find oatmeal to be boring after this. And there, my breakfast is now ready.
Open any fridge in any kitchen all over. One thing you'll always find in there is eggs. Let's try something different. Let's make a folded cilantro and cheese omelette. The pan is in here. It's heating up at a very low heat. We'll take 3 nice eggs, salt, some nice cracked pepper into the eggs. Let's whisk it a bit. We are not whisking it to make it fluffy. We are just whisking it so that the yolks and the white mix into each other. Some nice coriander, and I'm going to put on my second pan on because I'm going to make some lovely cilantro potatoes with my cilantro omelette. So half of the coriander, the cilantro, goes into my egg. Again, we're going to whisk it a bit. So I've got some boiled potatoes here, nice thick slices out of it. One more, nice chunky thick slices from them. I'm going to place all the slices on a plate. Yeah, a lot of black pepper, a nice sprinkling of the salt, oil in here as well. Now this side first, the one that we have put pepper on goes in with the other side as well. Some black pepper on top. A little bit of salt, and I'm going to make it nice and crisp on both sides. Let it cook. So high heat is for the potatoes to have the nice color and crispness. So for the eggs, you just require a bit of medium heat. Once your pan is hot, pour in the egg mixture in. Then you can slightly increase the heat. Here I've got a nice big block of cheddar cheese. You can use any cheese that you like. Now once the egg starts cooking, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix in through. And now with the grated cheese, that goes in. My potatoes have got color on one side. I'm just going to flip them over. Look at that. Nice color, crisped up. Back to my egg. Remove all the sides from here and give it a first fold around here, and then from here in a crescent shape. Just fold it in nicely. Just let it cook for a while till the cheese melts. On one side, the potatoes are literally done. I add a bit of coriander to it and give it a quick toss in the coriander. Let's flip the omelette the other way around. So let's take the folded omelette out now. And along with this, some nice grilled tomato. Let me do a quick base so that the tomato stands on. Some salt on it and some cracked pepper. And we want good color on it. We are not going to cook the tomato. So very little oil. Out it goes into the plate. So now let's just break the egg like this. What you will see is the melted cheese inside. So the inside is nice and succulent and it's nice and brown on the outside. Superb, but not without a crispy potato. Enjoy.
Hi guys, welcome to my recipe book with me, Tarika. So I look forward to Christmas morning all year round because that's the time that I can enjoy a really nice chilled out breakfast with my family. And that's the time that I love making my French toast recipe. So, I don't know about you, but I tend to overdose on cakes and cookies at Christmas time. So, which is why on Christmas morning, I like to make a savory French toast, not a sweet one, just to combat all the sweetness that I overdose on. It's really quick and easy, and I'm going to show you how to make it. You'll need some eggs to start with. I've got 2 eggs here, room temperature. That's the thing, you should always have it at room temperature. It'll cook nice and evenly. Same for the milk. It's about half a cup of milk. That aside. And now I'm just going to start flavoring it. So I've got some fresh coriander. I'm going to use a bit of cumin powder. Cumin powder is jeera powder in India. I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon of dried chives, but if you're using fresh chives, use about 2 tablespoons. Yeah, this will give a really nice and mild oniony flavor without leaving that raw aftertaste. Now you need to season this pretty generously with salt. Get a good few grindings of fresh black pepper. Okay, that should be good on the pepper. I don't want to overdo it either. And now we're going to whisk this. We're going to break up the egg and get everything mixed together really well. But don't over whisk it. You don't want an over whisked custard. And that's it. We're done with this. Now I'm going to get on with making the toasts. So now I'm just going to heat up this pan. Got some olive oil. Now since this is a non-stick pan, we won't need much oil. I just want to spread it around. And while that pan is heating up, I'm going to get the toasts ready. So this is just regular bread that I'm using, regular everyday bread. But if you want to use any fancy bread, you can do that too. Now I'm just going to dip this in the custard. So you want to use slightly stale bread, about a day old or so, not fresh bread, because that will break up completely in the custard. It'll just get mushy in this custard that we've made. A slightly old bread, about a day old, will just soak it up enough. And you want to pull it out before it breaks up and falls apart. So now I'm just going to put this in the pan, which is nicely heated. you want to place it on medium-high heat, and as soon as it starts to turn brown on one side, that's when you just want to This is so beautifully browned, it looks gorgeous. And now you want to let it cook on the other side. So now I'm just going to continue slicing up some more bread. Okay, I'm just going to check it on the other side that I'd flipped over. Yep, it's nicely browned, which means this first batch of French toast is done. Add a little bit more oil and just continue cooking. So this is my favorite recipe for savory French toast. I usually pair it up with some ketchup, that's the way I like it, but my crew tells me that they like it with some fresh mayonnaise. So I've served it up today with some mayo as well. So I hope you try this recipe, just a little something to spice up your Christmas morning. And if you like this recipe, like this video and share it with your friends. That's what you're supposed to do over Christmas, right? Share all the food that's cooked. See you next time, guys. Hi everyone! So today on my recipe book with me, Tarika, it's all about breakfast. I'm taking the usual bread and egg and serving it up in an unusual way. I'm making what's called egg in a hole or a golfer's egg. So this recipe was passed on to me by my uncle, and Methi Papa, if you're watching this, I'm expecting you to share this video a lot. So this starts where all good breakfasts start. Just take 2 slices of bread like this. Now I'm using mozzarella, but feel free to use whatever cheese you like. Mozzarella will be nice and stringy by the time we're done with this. So once the cheese is on this slice, you just cover it up with the other slice. And since this is egg in a hole, we have to cut a hole in this bread. I'm using a cookie cutter that's about 2 to 2.5 inches wide, but if you don't have this, you can just take a glass, turn it upside down and cut a hole. What's really important is to get a hole that's about 2 to 2.5 inches in diameter. So I'm just going to heat up some oil in a pan. Just be generous with the oil, spread it around in the pan. So once the pan is slightly heated only, just place it here and give it a few seconds to rest in this oil. Crack this egg into this hole. And now we're just going to let the bread toast with the egg. So there are many things that you can do with this. If you have a choice, you could just scramble it up, use your spatula to do that. But I want a fried egg with a runny yolk. So I'm just going to leave it as is and let it cook in this pan. So remember this little circle that we had cut out? When you move it around in the pan, it just soaks up the oil and becomes really nice and crispy. Okay, so now I'm ready to plate this up. So this toasted piece of bread with nice stringy mozzarella inside. Now I'm just going to season it with a little bit of pepper and some salt. Now how can I make this better? I think I'm going to add some nice roasted tomatoes to this. I'm just going to nestle these in. So egg in a hole, golfer's egg, whatever you want to call it, you've just got to try this for breakfast. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.
Eggs and potatoes, one of the most common, generally available ingredients found all throughout the world. So we are just going to do some nice, perfect poached eggs and hash brown. It's not very difficult to make, it's very easy as long as you know the right technique. On a low heat, I'm just putting a pan to heat up. So for poaching, you should really take a nice and deep pan, because what happens is when you break the egg and we are going to poach it in this water, by the time it settles down to the bottom, it should start holding itself. So if you take a very shallow pan, what's going to happen is by the time the egg holds itself together, the egg will spread. We don't want that. We want a nice round poached egg. So nice deep pan here, just some lemon juice into it. As I said, you have a lot of options. You can put vinegar, you can put white wine, anything that is acidic. So poaching essentially means that anything that you're cooking is cooking with a very moderate heat and temperature. So I've got some parboiled potatoes here. So just grating some parboiled potatoes. So we just take up these potatoes, spread it around, salt, some cracked pepper. Once you've got this, just take a fork and just run it through lightly. You don't want the bits breaking totally. And while this pan is hot now, let me take a dollop of butter here first. I just want the butter melted. Now once this is up to here, this butter, I'm just mixing it to the potatoes. This will keep the potatoes moist from inside as well. A little drizzle of oil on my chopping board. Spread the oil. Now with the help of any ring like this or any mold, what I'm going to do is just take these potatoes, put it in. Then just taking a spoon, very lightly, just press it along the sides. I'm not pressing too hard, otherwise what's going to happen is all the texture that we have created by grating the potatoes, if you press it too hard, it will all crumble together. So not too hard. That's it. That is one. Let me put some oil on the ring itself. The hash browns come out very easily. Once again, potatoes in. So this ring is basically just to give shape to your potato. So let me show you how it can be made without the ring as well. We'll just take a nice ball of potato, just press it, so this will become more rustic. Just lightly tap it from the sides till you get a nice roundel. But then watch out, see there is difference now in this and this. The texture inside here is different. Here it's more looking like, as you call it in India, a potato tikki. Let's heat up more butter here now. And I'm just putting some oil through to prevent the butter from burning, because butter has a low smoke point whereas oil has a higher smoke point. That's my another hash brown, very lightly. And this one, more rustic. And let it gently cook on a very low heat. You don't have to put the heat very high. You want it to nicely crisp it up from one side and then crisp up from the other side. So now let me just flip this over very carefully. So I've just flipped over the roasties and you can see they've turned out nice golden brown. But the one that I was trying to make with hand has got few cracks. This is what can happen. That's why you require a ring. But as I said, taste is not going to be any different. Now back to the eggs. You can see there are very little bubbles coming into this water, which means it is right for poaching. Some salt into this. Now take the egg and put it through. That's it. If the pan was still deeper, you could have understood that by the time the egg reaches the bottom of the pan, it would have come together. So now these eggs are poaching, but they should poach for around between 3 and 4 minutes if you want an exact perfect poached egg, where the egg white is cooked but the yolks are still fairly runny. That's how perfect poached eggs are. So my hash browns are now nice and crisped up and they are ready. I'm just taking some brown bread and cutting it with the same ring that I made the hash browns with into this pan to crisp up slightly. So when the bread is crisped up, that will go in the plate. Once I see that the egg has started coming towards the surface of the water, which means it's getting done. That's it. So let me place this here. And this one here. This is good enough. You can place it straight away. But just to make it more refined, I am just removing the side trimmings off. Once again, some salt and some cracked pepper on this. While they're still nice and steaming, this goes in here, and this one goes in here. Some nice grilled tomato with a sprig of parsley. A perfect combination for a breakfast: proteins, carbohydrates, and some nice veggies in the morning. A start to a very perfect active day.